in the dental industry has become a necessity. How do you decide which technology is best suited for your practice and what will bring you the largest return on investment? In this segment, we will discuss technology planning as it relates to your office design project and why solid design is essential. Hi, my name is Brian Kroger, and I'm the Director of Technology for EnviroMed Design Group. I have 16 years of computer technology experience, with the last 10 years being focused primarily on dental. Today, what I would like to talk to you about is office design and the technology that you're going to be putting into that new office space. A good place for us to start is let's grab a pen and paper. Let's start making a plan. With this plan, we need to decide what are some items in my new office that I may not have in my existing space that I want to implement. Do I currently have a digital pan in my current space, or is this something that I'm going to want to put in my new space? Digital X-ray sensors, is that something that you currently have, or is that something that you want to move to? Intraoral cameras, a new milling machine, a CEREC, or the 4D, maybe a microscope or an iCat. Are you going to be adding more treatment rooms or a consultation room that you may not have in your existing practice? This means that you're going to need to add additional computers for this space. So when you're going to be planning for this, you need to look at your current space and have the knowledge that I'm going to need more computers, so I'm going to have to budget for that. Your phone system, your current phone system, are you going to be able to use it? Is it going to fit into your new space? If you're going to be adding more rooms, a consultation room, maybe a break room if you don't currently have one, more business area space, that's something that you need to think about, because a phone system is something that a lot of people don't think about. They think that their current phone's going to move over and you're not going to have any problems. Take inventory of the technology that you currently have in your office. That would be all the computers that you have, all the phones that you have, monitors. You need to take all this into account. So when you're thinking about the computers, keep this in mind, that it is going to take a little bit of time, up to a year and a half, before your project could reach completion. With these computers, technology changes really fast, so you need to be thinking about whether the software that you currently have or software that you're going to be installing onto those machines is going to be supported by that computer. Your monitors. Are your monitors going to be able to support the digital X-ray if you're going to be going that route? Do you still have the old CRT style monitors? Do you want to change to something that's more energy efficient, something that's going to fit better with a new design so that it's not outdated? Also, something to think about is if you're going to be adding additional monitors into the treatment areas. Are you going to add a patient view monitor if you don't currently have one? But if you're planning on bringing over monitors in your current space, you need to realize that if you want to mount that on a mount, a lot of the older monitors don't have what's called a VISA compliant, which is a 4-hole bracket on the back of that monitor to be able to mount it to dental equipment mounts or a third-party mount. Printers. Are you going to need more printers? If you're adding a consultation room, you're probably going to want to add a color inkjet in that area, because you're going to be printing out intraoral camera images, X-ray images. So that's something to think about. And you definitely have to use that for your digital X-rays and your intraoral camera images if you're going to be sending those out as a referral to another doctor. But make sure that you do get a printer that has individual ink tanks in it, because you're going to use a lot more of the reds and blues versus magenta or a yellow or the black. So you don't want to have an individual ink tank that you're going to be replacing all the time because you're using up those colors. You just want to be able to replace the colors that you're using. Let's get back to telephones. Will your current telephone system be able to support your new office? Are you going to be adding more telephone lines? And by that I mean, are you going to have more incoming lines coming in? Because you may currently have 2 or 3 incoming lines and a fax line, but in your new space, you may need up to 5 phone lines coming in with an additional one for a fax. Another thing to think about is if you're moving from older cameras, and by that I mean intraoral cameras, If you're using an older style camera, normally they have a capture card. And with that capture card, you need to think about whether that's going to fit into a new machine and what steps that you would need to take to be able to get that new card into a new machine. Or you may need to add docking stations if you have an older style camera that still uses the capture cards. They're a more bulky system, but you need to plan on having a space to implement that into your new office, into your treatment rooms. You need to plan on the space for that. Will the number of treatment rooms be increasing? Are you going to need more cameras? So that comes back to, is it time for me to purchase the newer cameras, a USB camera that's more portable versus having an older camera system that is a lot more bulky that you're not going to be able to move easily from treatment room to treatment room. Digital x-rays. Do you currently have a digital x-ray system? What type of digital x-ray system would you like to move to if you don't? There are a few out there. You have a phosphor plate scanning system. You have a direct x-ray sensor system. Now they have digital pans that actually take your bite wings for you. So look through that, make a decision on what you're going to purchase so that you have an idea. Make a list of that stuff. Let's talk about what to do with this list that we've been creating. This list is a necessary tool to use while designing your new space. You're going to use this list when working with your office designer, architect, and builder. This list is going to be instrumental in the technology design of your new office, and it's also going to be used to assist with budgeting. Now let's talk about something here called technology location. You're going to be adding technology into your new office, so you want to plan to have the space for that. So planning is key. On this next slide, I'd like to show you what happens when you don't plan. This is an office on their first opening day. Would you be happy with this? Look at all of this technology back here. We have 3 computers, we have 4 credit card machines, we have a printer, we have a stereo, we have a phone, a couple of battery backups. This was actually designed to be used as a business space for somebody when the office was growing with their clientele to be able to put an additional employee in this space. But now this space has been taken up by all of the technology that should be, for the most part, hidden. A big key with this is a server closet. You should have a server closet that's at least 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet, and make sure that this closet has proper venting, because all of this computer technology produces a lot of heat. So this is a big key. Make sure that you plan this space, make sure this space is in your new office. Let's talk about location in the treatment rooms for your computers. If you're going to be adding computers to this space and you haven't had it before, you need to plan on that space when you're selecting your cabinetry or having your cabinets custom built. In your front desk business area, your reception, or your walkout area, you're going to have printers, scanners, fax machines. Plan for that. Make sure that you have the space for it. Maybe you don't want to take up counter space and have custom rolling carts made that'll go underneath the counter to go with rolling filing cabinets so that you can make that space work for you a little bit more ergonomically. It's more pleasing to the eye, less clutter, just a much better work environment. Mounting of monitors in the treatment rooms, not only for the 12 o'clock position, but also a patient view monitor. There are so many different choices out there, and sometimes it can be hard to decide what's going to be the best one to choose. Some key features to think about: how are you going to use this monitor? Are you going to use this monitor for patient education? Are you going to have television on it? Are you going to show movies on it? What are you going to use this patient view monitor for? Are you going to use it primarily as a sales tool, a diagnostic tool? You need to take that into account, because later on that's going to come in with the other infrastructure that you're going to need to be able to support these various items that you're going to want to put into your treatment room. Phone locations. Are you going to want to have wall phones throughout your office? Maybe you need a wall phone closer to the treatment area. Do you want a wall phone in the break room? Consultation areas, the business area, your personal office. Think about all of the spaces that you're going to want a phone so that you can keep that in mind, and also the infrastructure for that in mind. Are you going to add some type of a patient education or a television in a waiting area, in the break room or the consultation area? Let's talk about audio in your office. Is this something that you currently have that you want to improve on in your new office? Do you not have any audio in your office right now at all? Think about if you want to have one zone, meaning you control the audio throughout your office directly from the amplifier, or do you want to have different zones where you have independent volume controllers so that you can control the sound independently in the different zones throughout your office? Think about the business areas, check in, check out, and an ordering station locations. Do you want to, same thing, do you want to have those hidden away, tucked away? As you can see in this picture here, we got a printer underneath the counter. The computers are underneath the counter. The only thing that you're going to see technology-wise in this office are the monitors, the keyboard, and the mouse, as well as telephones. Think about putting a computer in the consultation area or the break area so that this can be used as a morning huddle space if you do morning meetings with your staff. It can be a dual purpose system. You can hook a computer up to this so that you can look at your practice management. It could be used as an ordering machine. Try and get a little bit more function out of it. But it's a great thing that we've installed in a lot of offices, and everybody has been really pleased to do that. It's something that they can't believe that they've actually not done in the past. Let's talk about intra-office communication. Are you going to use something that's software-based, use the computers that you currently have in your office to be able to utilize that technology, be able to get more money out of that machine because you're using it for more purpose than just using it for your practice management software. You can still go with a wall-mounted system. But if you're going with a wall-mounted system, there's a lot of planning that you need infrastructure-wise to be able to implement, because these devices need power, they need wiring so that they all connect together so that they can communicate. So thinking of all of these items is key because you want to make sure that the infrastructure is in place. Have you thought about a gaming area, or depends on what type of practice you have. Do you need a little kid space? Are you a pediatric? Do you need something that more gaming systems, televisions? They're all going to need power. They're all going to need wires. So keep that in mind. If you want this technology in your office, let's plan for it. Headphone jacks in the chair for your patient. We've done this in pretty much every office that we've done. What we do, the primary reason we do this is that way you don't have to sit there and listen to necessarily what's on the television or hear the same thing repeated over and over. You can also add a Sirius radio or office audio. It could be very relaxing for the patient. And with that headphone jack in the chair, the cable will go directly down and then off to the waist on the side. So it's out of your way, your assistant's way, and it's comfortable for the patient. Let's get back to digital x-ray systems or milling machines. We have a phosphor plate system. We have a digital pan here. These all are going to take space. They need somewhere to set. So keep this in mind when designing your space. Make sure you have space that this can be supported. Would you be happy with this if this is your brand new office? Do these wires look good to you? Or does this look a little bit better? This is what you need to expect. This is a professional installation. The last ones you saw were not a professional installation, or at least they thought they were professional, but they were not. This is key. Everything in your office communicates through these wires. You want them to be labeled, you want them to be tested, you want them to be clean and neat, because you're going to have this from day one until you either rebuild the office or tear out all that wiring and put in new technology. So let's talk about the wiring that's going to be installed into your new space. Cat 6 wiring is the standard. What this is the best wiring to use for your data network. And with your data network, that's what all of your computer is going to plug into and communicate throughout your office. So make sure you're going with a Cat 6 cable. A Cat 5e cable, some people still use it. It's a little bit older technology. Make sure you go with a Cat 6. Coax. A coax cable is used for either satellite television or your cable television. It can also be used for video from your computer if it's an older computer, but you're most likely not going to need that in your new office. Voice cabling. Of course, this is going to be for all of your telephones. It could also be for your inter-office communication system if you're not using the computers and you're using an in-wall or a wall-mounted or desktop system. Video cables. Are you going to have television in every room? Did you decide that you're going to add television into a consultation room, a break area? Are you going to put it in the lobby for your patients while they're waiting? Are you going to do a high-definition television signal? Or are you just going to do a regular standard coax cable versus a true high-definition cable? That needs to be planned because that takes additional wiring to be able to support that. You're going to have to sit down and figure out where all the wiring that we just previously spoke about is going to be placed. And this will all be input into the design of your new office and a technology plan for it. Future-proofing your office is definitely something to think about. What you want to do is you want to keep a build diary. You want to take photos, take notes, take measurements. This is not only just for the technology section or portion of the project. This could be used later on in remodeling. If you're going to be hanging anything in the future on the walls, you'll have an idea of what's behind the drywall, so you can actually know exactly what you're putting something into. Because there's a lot of plumbing in this space, a lot of electrical in this space. You want to know where everything is. So keep a diary of that. Let's talk about your current phone system. Is that something that's going to be able to move over from your existing space? Or are you going to have to think about upgrading to a newer system? Newer system could have lots of additional features that you may like. It may have an auto attendant, voicemail, gives you more extensions, capabilities for adding a wireless phone to that. You may like something that if you have an emergency call, that a patient can leave a message and it will call your cell phone, send you a page, or send you an email. Let's talk about infrastructure expansion with wiring. Are you going to be needing to add additional data ports in the future for something that may be coming down the line that you don't know about, but you're going to need a connection to your data network for that? You want to plan to have additional space in your server closet to be able to have new wires run or to implement the wiring to split it better with what you currently have. Are you going to add wireless technology? Do you want to have wireless for your patients? Maybe you want to have wireless for tablets that you're using for your practice management. Think about that. You're going to have space for that, the expansion space. DMARC, what a DMARC is that's an extension from your service provider, whether that would be a cable company, a phone company. There may be additional services that you need to add that will require more wiring. So when you're doing this, maybe plan for additional wiring when you're working with your wiring company to have them run a couple of extra wires so that they're already in place for you, and all they have to do is be connected or terminated on both sides to give you that new service that you're wanting. Let's talk about the growth. You may need more workstations or an additional server. Uh, you may have the need to add a patient education server, and you're going to want to have that space to be able to store that in the same place in your server closet. You may want to add a media server, which gives patients on-demand music, on-demand movies, satellite radio as well. Let's think about conduits and pathways for wiring, not only in the beginning of your project, but you need to think about it with the design of your office. If you have a hard ceiling, sheetrock ceiling everywhere, instead of maybe an acoustic drop-down ceiling, it's definitely a lot harder to run wires through that in the future. So you want to make sure that you create pathways so that in 5 or 10 years you may need to update something. You want to be able to have those paths to begin with, so that it makes it a lot easier to make that decision that, hey, I'm going to purchase this new product. Oh, I don't want to do it because, man, I'm going to have to rip up my ceilings to be able to get that wiring through there. Think about, it's a key. Put in conduits. It can never hurt. Let's do it right from the start. It saves you time and money. What we need to do is take the list that you created and think about it, whether it should stay or should it go. Do you want to move older technology or your existing technology into your current space? A lot of times with computers, if you try and move that machine over, it can cost a lot more in the long run, because you're bringing problems in from your current office into a new system that have new computers and such, and a lot of times it can decrease the lifespan of that machine. Think about ongoing costs. You're going to be dealing with computer maintenance. You may have subscriptions. You're going to have antivirus. You're going to have internet and cable service, maybe satellite service, your phone service. Think about all of that. You're going to have usually upgraded fees. If you're going to a bigger office, you're going to have the need for additional subscriptions. You're also going to have a higher electricity usage, and that will result from more equipment being installed into your new space. When you're going out to get bids for your job, make sure that you get at least 3 quotes. Make sure that these quotes are using comparable equipment, and also add 7% to the final quote cost to your budget. This will cover any adds or changes that you may have during the project. Again, I'm Brian Kroger with EnviroMed Design Group. I'd like to wish you luck on your project, and thank you for watching.